Does that mean we can do the whole thing from the floor? I'm going to start on the floor. So look, if you remember nothing else from our talk, nothing else from the whole conference, please remember this. You have permission to take a break from whatever it is that is causing your stress and just deal with the stress itself, the stress in your body. You are allowed to pause and turn toward your own body with kindness and compassion.
We're telling you this because it turns out the cure for burnout is not self-care. It's all of us caring for each other.
We are not built to do big things alone. We're built to do them together. So I'm the Emily one. I wrote this book called Come As You Are, which is the surprising new science that will transform your sex life. Fans of sex, all right. And for the first 6 months after that book came out, I traveled all across America, and I would talk to anyone who would listen about the science of women's sexual well-being, and a strange thing happened. Over and over, all across America, women would come up to me after my talks and say, yeah, Emily, all that sex science, that's great, that's fine. But you know, the one chapter that really changed everything for me was that one chapter on stress and emotion processing. And so the TLDR of that chapter is emotions are physical cycles that happen in your physical body, and you have to go all the way through the tunnel to get to the light at the end. And this is such an important idea that I say it every time I speak publicly, including here, but I did not realize that it was going to be the most important idea in my sex book for so many readers. So I told Amelia.
I'm the Amelia one. And I was not surprised because I'm a conductor. That means I trained at a conservatory where I received explicit instruction in how to process and express emotion in performance. That did not mean that I knew how to do it in my actual real life, or in fact that I knew that I was supposed to do it in my actual real life, which caught up with me in doctoral school. I don't know if you know this, but classical music and academic classical music and conducting in particular are very conservative. It's a lot like Congress, just rooms of old white men getting paid to talk about why it's fine that it's rooms full of old white men. So that situation was bad for me. To give you an idea of my state of mind in doctoral school, here's an example of a piece of work that I produced. I did an analysis of BWV4, Bach's Easter Cantata, and I did not focus on the resurrection-y, salvation-y aspects of the Easter story. I focused on the movement that's about where Jesus dies and descends into hell to start a battle with demons. Yeah. For some reason, that movement really spoke to me. So about halfway through that program, I woke up in the middle of the night with abdominal pain so bad I thought I was going to die. Go to the emergency room, and they did not know what was wrong with me, so they kept me there for 4 days, admitted me to the hospital, would not let me leave for 4 days, eventually went, we don't know what's wrong with you, it's probably just stress. Go home and relax.
Relax.
That is not an evidence-based intervention for stress relief, by the way. But luckily, I have a sister with a PhD in public health. So she brought me books and peer-reviewed research, and I started reading.
That is how I express my love.
Here, Amelia, it's peer-reviewed. Thanks, Emily. So I'm reading this book, and I get to this page, and it says, emotions are stored in your body, and repressed rage can show up as pain, physical pain. And I'm like, oh my, the word rage there on the page stabs into me like it's a claw. And I just sat my ass down right there in the middle of my house and called my sister, because that's what you do. Emily, this book says that rage is in your body. And she's like,
how could you not have known that already?
Because my job as a conductor is to communicate emotion with my body. But somehow I didn't know that emotion was always in my body. So then I learned the stuff that we're going to talk about today, and it saved my life. So I reminded Emily of this, and she said,
We should write a book about that.
so we did. It's called Burnout. And burnout is the experience of feeling overwhelmed and exhausted by everything you have to do, and yet somehow still worried that you're not doing enough. Burnout Burnout is caused by emotional exhaustion. So what's an emotion and how do you exhaust it? If you've seen any of Emily's 3 TED Talks or were listening 2 minutes ago, you know that emotions are tunnels. You have to move all the way through the darkness to get to the light at the end. And you exhaust an emotion when you get stuck in the tunnel. It's a beautiful metaphor, but what actually happens?
Physiologically, what happens, this is what I taught Amelia, and it's what I ultimately wrote in Come As You Are. Emotions are these biological cycles with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like digestion, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And if you get stuck and don't go all the way through to the end, not so good things happen. So let me talk about how the stress response cycle in particular is supposed to work. In our environment of evolutionary adaptiveness, the stress response would be activated by a perceived stressor, like a lion. It's coming right for you. And so what do? You run, yeah. And your body does these miraculous things. Your blood pressure increases, your heart rate increases, your respiration rate increases, your immune system gets suppressed, your reproductive system gets suppressed, your digestive system gets suppressed, because who needs those right now? You're trying to run. And at this point, there's only 2 possible outcomes. Either you get eaten by the lion, in which case none of the rest of this matters, or you escape the lion. So let's imagine a world where you're running across the savannas of Africa, lion chasing you, somebody sees you coming back to the village and they go, come run in my door, and you run behind them in the door and you slam your shoulders against the door and you hear the lion going, roar, and it scratches at the door and eventually it gives up and it wanders away and you watch the lion disappear. And you turn toward this person who just saved your life, and you feel grateful to be alive. You love your friends and family. The sun seems to shine brighter. Your immune system comes back online. Your reproductive system comes back online. Your digestive systems come back online. That is the complete stress response cycle. We are, alas, almost never chased by lions anymore. Our stressors instead tend to be things like deadlines, our children, traffic, white supremacist, cis heteropatriarchal, rabidly exploitative post-industrial capitalism. So when you are stressed out by those things, what do? This is where the problem starts. The behaviors that deal with the stress in our body, the behaviors that complete the stress response cycle, are separate from the behaviors that actually deal with the solutions to our stressors.
But that's really good news, because it means that, for me, I did not have to wait until grad school was over before I started to feel better. I could start to feel better immediately, and in fact, because I was starting to feel better, it meant that I could make it to the end. The reverse is also true, though. Just because you've managed a stressor and it's over does not mean necessarily that you've dealt with the stress itself. We talked with an activist in Ireland who helped get abortion legalized in Ireland, and she said that they thought when the vote passed, they would all feel amazing, but instead they all collapsed. They were exhausted. And the reason is, your body can be made safe by legislation, but your body doesn't know that. In order to tell your body that it's safe, you have to complete the stress response cycle. Step 1, separate the stress from the stressor. Step 2, turn toward the stress with kindness and compassion and complete the cycle. Today, we're going to give you 4 concrete, specific, evidence-based strategies for completing the stress response cycles. They're the ones that I started to use and saved my life. Number 1 is physical activity.
You know that physical activity is good for you, right? But this is the why physical activity is so good for you. It's because moving your body is the most efficient way to communicate to your body that you have moved your body out of an unsafe place to a safe place. That is why it can feel so good and help relieve stress. I have these very clear memories of being in grad school and cycling 20, 30, 50 miles a day, and somewhere just past the midpoint of my ride, it's like the gears would shift inside my body and the chain would slip and everything spins more freely. And suddenly I feel at one with the grass and the cow in the pasture and the sun. And by the time I got home, all the stress I took with me on the bike, I had left behind, and I arrived with this sense of peace and joy.
That sounds amazing, right? And some of you are nodding, yes, I've felt that too. And some of you are like, one with the cows, huh? Me too. Let me remind you, we are genetically identical twins, raised in the same household our whole lives, and I've never had that experience from physical activity. There is no predicting what your response is going to be. People vary. And to make matters even more complicated, sometimes getting the physical activity can become a source of stress. If you're the only person of color in your Pilates class, going to that class can be stressful. If you're a trans person, going to a gym and daring to use a locker room can actually be dangerous. If you just make the simplest plan ever, I'm gonna go outside and go for a walk. Okay, no problem, but then what if you get street harassment and catcalled, and your body reacts like it's a stressor. There's a lion, and you think to yourself, I'm a badass bitch, motherfucker, 21st century woman. I should know better than to feel stressed out by that guy. And now your shame is a stressor? My point is, exercise reduces stress, does not quite cover how complicated it is. So good news, here's 3 other concrete, specific, evidence-based strategies for completing the stress response cycle. The first one is the one that I turned to because physical activity was not enough for me, and that is imagination. If you've ever had a racing heart and sweaty palms from a job interview or a first date, you know that your body does not need a real-life stressor in order to think that it needs to initiate a stress response cycle. Your imagination can do that all by itself. The good part about that is that your imagination can also complete a stress response cycle. So what I did was I'd get on the elliptical machine, just like usual, but instead of watching TV, listening to an audiobook, I would imagine myself as Godzilla, trampling the state land grant institution where I was getting my doctorate. Parking lots, bursar's office, And I would get to the end of my workout, and I would feel not just hot and sweaty and tired, I felt elated and powerful and ready for the next thing. You don't have to you can guide yourself through the imagination, just like I did, but also reading a book, following a story through a movie. One of the reasons it feels so great is it leads you through a cycle, a complete hero's journey, and you experience it too. Power of imagination can complete a stress response cycle, and a natural extension of that is our third concrete, specific, evidence-based strategy for completing the stress response cycle, and it is creative self-expression. Everybody in this room here already knows how great it feels to, as Carrie Fisher put it, take your broken heart and turn it into art. Yeah. A lot of us were drawn to this work because we experienced that and we thought, I need to do this for the rest of my life. And we know how powerful it feels and how good it is, not just to accomplish a task and check it off a list, but to make a physical object or a story or a process and have it be made partly of you and have that be in the world. I want to address particularly 2 things with this audience. We're hearing a lot of stories, moving, powerful, inspiring stories of personal hardship. Don't make that teach you that hardship is necessary to be a good artist. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to go through the woods. You just
unbutton your jacket.
Why?
Because we want to see what it says.
Oh. It's a quote from a poem by Toy Dericotte. It says, "Joy is an act of resistance." You don't have to suffer to be a great artist. And if you're like, God, all these amazing people have gone through such hard things, and you think it's supposed to hurt to be good, no, you can take care of yourself and take care of other people and still make great art. Thing 1. I learned that the hard way. Don't learn it the hard way. Thing 2. When the thing you love, your passion, this stuff you make that's made of you, becomes your job, your relationship with it is going to change. And a lot of us hear, it must be so great to do what you love. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And you start to believe, this thing I love feels like work. Am I doing it wrong? Have I lost my touch? Am I not inspired anymore? No. Once your art puts food on the table, it may not feed your soul anymore, and that doesn't mean that you're bad at your job. You're not broken. It's okay. It's normal. Inspiration will come and go. It's a cycle, just like all the other things. It's okay. Find something else, though. You don't have to give up on not having that experience anymore. I know so many musicians who love to cook. They make thoughtful, creative meals and snacks and bring them to rehearsal for the rest of us. So many cooks who love to craft, and actors who take all the rage they can't put in their characters and they go to their knitting circle and they knit adorable slippers made of rage. So find another thing. That might take some time, and in the meantime, here is our fourth concrete, specific, evidence-based strategy you can use right now to start to feel better.
It's connection. This can happen in so many different ways, including from the most superficial of positive social interactions. Compliment your barista on their earring. That is all it takes. That sort of lightweight, superficial connection is the first cue your emotional brain uses to understand that the world makes some kind of sense and parts of it are actually safe. If you want to go deeper, there's an evidence-based intervention called the 20-second hug. It's not about the 20 seconds, it's about the hug. A potentially awkwardly long time to hug someone, right? That you have to really like them and trust them, but that's the point. When you can hold your body against someone else's body for that long and breathe, eventually your chemistry switches and it goes, oh, right. I have a person in my life whom I like and trust enough to hold my body this close so that when I am with them, I have come home and I am safe. John Gottman recommends a 6-second kiss for the same reason. Again, a potentially awkwardly long time to kiss somebody, 6 seconds in a row. You have to really like that person. And hopefully they really like you. But that's the point. If you can kiss a person for that long, it communicates to your brain and your chemistry switches. When I am with this person, I have come home and I am safe. If you're a person for whom connection with humans is like, no, then connection with the divine can also work. Many people experience their spiritual connection as a relationship with the divine and loving paternal or maternal or familial relationship where they can come home and feel safe and held. For some people, it's a connection with nature. There are days when my connection with my dog is purer and more rewarding than my relationship with my spouse. And I really like my spouse. Or it can be with the landscape. Some people want to live on the ocean. Some people want to climb a mountain. Some people want to go be in the desert. I, for one, really feel energized and recharged, and my body restores itself when I'm at that liminal space where the ocean meets the shore, and I can watch the waves. Which brings us to our concluding anecdote about... We're going to tell this story. Yeah. So this one time... I wrote a TED Talk, and it was pretty stressful. When I get stressed out, I'm an expert in completing my stress response cycles, right? But this was a level of stress that outpaced my ability to complete those cycles, so it was accumulating in my body. And when stress accumulates in my body, I get a little impatient. I get bitchy. My fuse is shorter. And actually, right at the time this was happening, Moana came out. We're about to spoil the shit out of Moana, by the way. Okay, so when I saw Moana, TLDR, is chosen by the ocean to find the demigod Maui, cross the ocean, and restore the heart of Te Fiti. The heart of Te Fiti is this glowing green stone with a swirly pattern on it, right? So she does it. She finds the demigod Maui. She crosses the ocean, and she confronts the last worst enemy, Te Kā, the lava monster. I saw Te Kā on the screen as a lava monster, and I went, me. Which, again, just because you recognize it doesn't mean you fixed it. So Amelia was going to go with me to TED, and there were complications happening with her travel, and she was telling me about the complications, and my response was, fine, maybe you just shouldn't go with me to TED. I don't care.
But I had been on this journey too. I had crossed the ocean and met the demigod Maui. I had done all that work ever since those 4 days in the hospital. And
So
that
she knew the magical thing that Moana knew.
It gave me this power to become the hero who conquers the demon with compassion and a song.
She recognized that that swirl on the heart of Te Fiti matched the swirl on the heart of Te Ka. She realized that you hold in your hand the heart of your own worst enemy, and if you can turn toward your worst enemy with kindness and compassion, you can unmake your own worst enemy.
And your worst enemy might be your best friend. It might be something inside yourself. So I saw what was happening, and I had the capacity and the room in my heart not to be like, fine, whatever, bitch, which might have been my response a few years ago, like, I can't even right now.
And instead she was like, let her come to me.
I have crossed the horizon to find you.
In reality, what she did is she kidnapped my dogs. She put them in her car.
Your name.
And she was like, I know you don't feel good. You need a break. I'm stealing your dogs. You have no excuse.
They have stolen the heart from inside you.
You're stressed out. You need to go to the beach immediately. Get in your car. You have no excuse.
But this does not define you.
Fine. I'll get in my car and I'll go to the beach if that's what you want.
Who you are.
Fine. I'm going to the beach.
You know who you
Within 15 minutes
are.
of arriving at the beach and seeing the ocean hit the shore, my chemistry changed, and I was already texting her apologies. Oh my God, you were right, I was wrong. I was so past my limit. Because I was so deep in it. I was so far into the tunnel, I couldn't even see how far I was in the tunnel, and I needed permission from outside of me to say, you're allowed to take a break from whatever is causing your stress, and just turn toward your own internal experience with kindness and compassion so you can complete the cycle.
So people are going to ask you, oh, you went to the talk and you heard the twins. What did they say? We hope you will tell them this. They gave me permission to take a break from dealing with the things that are causing my stress, to turn toward the stress in my body with kindness and compassion.
Because the cure for burnout is not self-care.
It's all of us caring for each other, and they showed me that we are not built to do big things alone. We are built to do them together.
Thank you.